It's time for your daily LSU baseball update with Musso at the box. Now, Matt Musso.
Off and running. Welcome in another edition of Musso at the box. LSU, they sweep Mississippi State. Of course, winning Thursday 8-6. Friday, in a game that started at 9 p.m. and ended just after midnight, 2-1. And then, of course, on Saturday, a game that started at 9:30 and ended after 1 a.m., they win that one 17-8. We have your full recap for you here today on Musso at the box. Fired up to dive into it because while it wasn't a flawless, it wasn't a perfect weekend about LSU. It was a very successful one where you picked up 3 more SEC wins. You give yourself a little bit more margin for error going forward in the league. You pace yourself in a great spot in the league as well. And I do think we learned a few things about this team, even on the mound. I'm excited to get into all of that. And the biggest thing I have, like my biggest takeaway, is LSU won 3 games, and they won them in 3 different ways. And that's huge, especially at this point in the season, showing the ability to do that. That just should strengthen confidence going forward. So we're going to tackle all of it. Of course, we're presented by Gotlit Light Installers, gotlitlights.com. Subscribe on the YouTube channel and your favorite podcast app. Just search Musso at the box. We're there. Follow me on social media, Twitter X at Musso Matthew. You can find me on Facebook, Matt Musso, Instagram as well. All of that is greatly appreciated. And let's go ahead. Let's dive right into it. So look, we recapped Thursday and Friday after those games. So we'll really kind of start with game number 3, give you some thoughts there. I almost said Sunday, which I guess technically wouldn't be wrong because the game finished on Sunday. Give you some thoughts on that one, and then some overarching thoughts on the weekend as a whole. So going into game 3, there were a couple things that you wanted to see. Number one, what we talked about heading into the weekend, just in general, was I needed to see signs from Chase Shores. Right? You're expecting him to come along slowly. He's getting that inning count up. He's getting experience. He's experiencing things that he never has before. And it's been rough at times, but you needed to at least see signs that, okay, there is something starting to happen there, and it could give you confidence going forward. The other thing, after you got through the first 2 games the way that you did, shortening it, getting to Cowan, letting him go 4 innings, getting to Evans, letting him go 4 innings, both of them getting a save and closing out wins, you had just about everybody else left. And it was, all right, well, let's see what your bullpen has. When you're going to be able to throw a bunch of them in game number 3, you can kind of go whole staff in a sense. What do those guys have? Can you build off of anything that you saw? That's a little bit more of a mixed bag, but I do think there are some positives. Let's start with Chase Shores. Y'all, I saw signs. I know when you look at the line, it doesn't look great, right? 4 innings, 5 hits, 4 earned. He did punch out 5, had the 2 walks and a hit by pitch to 3 free passes. I know it doesn't look well. It doesn't look well. It doesn't look great from a line standpoint. Chase Shores pitched a lot better than his line indicated. Y'all, those first 4 hitters, that's what it can look like with Chase Shores. You go through that first inning, he strikes out the first 2 he faces, both on the sinker, both of them at 98 miles per hour, then comes back and gets a soft ground ball to second base. He goes 3 up, 3 down to the top of that order, which is very good on 11 pitches. And it's like, okay, wait, now that's a sign, and that's what it can look like. He strikes out the first hitter of the second inning. And then he's ahead the next 2. And unfortunately, Hunter Hines, after the strikeout, he hung a pitch, just caught way too much of the plate, and Hunter Hines hit it over the fence. Okay. But the response looks good because he's ahead of the very next hitter. The 1-2 pitch caught a little too much of the plate, but it wasn't hit hard. It just dribbled up the middle past Danny Dickinson and Steven Milam. And then the next hitter, while he's ahead again, he chops it up the middle just into no man's land. Milam charges, gets it. He just has no play. Some of that's going to happen with Chase Shores. It just is. And that kind of got him, that got him in trouble in that inning. And ultimately, he's not able to completely wiggle off the hook. You hit that, like The two singles, you like the response because he's ahead 0-2 and then 1-2. What struggled was falling behind Highfield 3-0 and then hitting him. And that way you load the bases. And then Kupp, while you're ahead 0-2, he hangs a pitch, a slider in the middle of the plate. It gets hit down the line. That scores your 3 runs. But again, the response, he bounces back, ground out, ground out. So even though there were some issues in that second inning, there was also a lot of kind of positive from Chase Shores. There were 2 hard hit balls, the homer by Hines and then the double by Kupp. But the response in each of them were very good. When I look at that, I say, okay, he needs to work on finishing the hitter a little bit more. That's something he just has to continue working on. The quality of strike when it came to 2 strikes wasn't awesome in that second inning. But, man, he bounces back really, really well in the third. Ground out, punch out, then he walks Hines. I'm okay with that walk. That's a 2-out walk, right? Not all walks are created equal. He settles himself in and carves up Aaron Downs. Strikes him out on 4 pitches. That is a sign. That is growth. Like, that looks really good. And then, of course, in the fourth, I love this because you talk about grit, you talk about determination. You have the leadoff walk, obviously, but then you go line out, ground out, and the next one is when he gets hit in the eye. And you could see on the broadcast, I mean, that thing's swelling up. He stays in and gets the fielder's choice to end the inning. And then he's out of the game, obviously, with the eye. And look, we'll see. You know, we'll kind of see. We'll wait and see. Let Jay give some more updates and whatnot. You know, the post game's one thing, but we'll let him get a little deeper into the week, and we'll see what Shore's status is going forward. But I love the grit and the toughness. First of all, he pitches around a leadoff walk, which is huge. We just said all walks aren't created equal. That's a bad one. The one to Hines with 2 outs after he's already taken you deep. All right, I can deal with that. The leadoff walk to start the fourth, not great, but he pitched around it, even took one off his face and stayed in the game and pitched around it. The other thing I will say that was a great sign to me for Chase Shores is he was much more efficient. If Chase Shores doesn't get hit in the face there, he's back out for the 5th inning. He threw 74 pitches, 45 of them for strikes. That would be 61%. Would you like it a little higher? Yeah, but that's some of the best efficiency you've seen out of him. So I look at Shores outing and I say, yeah, 4 earned in 4 innings, that stinks. But really, it was 1 bad inning. He pitched around everything else and even showed signs of dominance at points in that game. That's something to build on. I really hope the face and everything's fine. There's no structural damage there with broken bones or anything like that. And he can go forward and really build, really build on his performance from game number 3, because it was strong. Like that, man, that was really good. And it was a really, really big step for him as well. So hats off to Chase Shores. After that, you go to Connor Ware. And again, I will tell you, I thought Connor Ware pitched better than his line indicated. Again, not all the walks are created equal. First pitch he throws. And again, keep in mind where they brought Ware into this ball game. So it's 9-4. You have a nice cushion, but they brought him in to face the meat of that lineup. The first hitter he faces is Reese, is Ace Reese. So, I mean, he's going to go through Reese, Sullivan, Hines, like the meat of a very good order. He gets Reese on the very first pitch he throws. Then you have the walk. But he comes back, strikes out Hines swinging after falling behind. Then he walks Downs. It's a 2-out walk. You have the mound visit. They corrected what they needed to, and he gets the next guy out. The one issue that I will, again, with Connor Ware is he was behind in most of these counts. When he walked Sullivan, he was behind 3-1. When he struck out Hines, he was behind 2-0. Then, obviously, 4 straight to Downs. He gets Stevens to fly out, but he was behind 2-0. He has to get ahead in the count more. He just does. But I will say, I like the tenacity. I like the toughness to get those hitters specifically out after falling behind. So that was pretty good. The disappointing parts of the game on Saturday from the mound that really started with DJ Primo. DJ Primo did not throw one strike, and that's unacceptable. There is no other way to put it. That is unacceptable. Had a walk, had a hit by pitch. 6 pitches, all of them for balls. That has to improve. And the reason I look at that and I get discouraged is because, man, you've actually seen some signs from DJ Primo early in this conference slate. He pitched 3 times against Missouri. He threw strikes against Texas while they got hit. He was at least in the zone. To see him come out there, throw six pitches, 6 balls, that feels like a step backwards. So DJ Primo needs to pitch on Tuesday. Like, I need to see him in that game on Tuesday against La Tech to get back on the mound, get back on the horse, and throw some strikes, because that was really discouraging. Connor Binge comes in, and Connor Binge just had a really rough weekend. Not only did he allow the 2 inherited runners to score from Primo, he allowed a run of his own. He was constantly behind in the count. 24 pitches, 11 strikes. That is well below 50%. Well, not well below, but it's below 50%. And that was after he was behind, I think, every hitter that he faced on Thursday. That's a guy that has to be a part of this. He's a veteran who has been in tough spots before at a really good program. He's got to figure it out. He has to figure this out. You need him. Cooper Williams came in, again, threw a pitch, hit a guy, and then LSU went to Jaden Newt. And this is what I wanted to see. And damn it, I thought Jaden Newt was awesome. He doesn't allow that inherited runner to score. He pounded the strike zone. He gives you 2 shutout, doesn't walk anybody, strikes out a pair. 27 pitches, 17 strikes. That'll do. And you could say, man, look, the game's out of reach. There's not a lot of pressure there. That's fine. I don't care. There wasn't a lot of pressure on a lot of those guys. LSU was well ahead in that game for the majority of it. Y'all, that game was 11-4 after 5 innings. So you look at Rizzi, you look at Primo, Binge, which all those guys pitched, which should have been no pressure. For Jaden Newt to come in there, only his 2nd outing ever on an SEC weekend at LSU, and he shoved. Give me more of him. Give me more of him. Want to remind you about Gauntlet Light Installers, then we'll get to LSU's offense and overall thoughts on Game 3 and the weekend. Gauntlet Light Installers, gauntletlights.com. Not just Christmas lights anymore. Permanent outdoor landscape lighting, front yard or backyard from Gauntlet. Backyard pool, outdoor kitchen, you need to illuminate it. Gauntlet Light Installers. Flower beds area in your front, you need to illuminate it. Take your curb appeal to the next level. Gauntlet Light Installers. Temporary outdoor lighting also available for any event that you might be hosting. Private event, wedding reception, anniversary party, graduations are coming up right around the corner, y'all. We're gearing up 2 months from graduation day and graduation parties. You need lights for that. You need Gauntlet Light Installers. Follow them on Facebook as well. GauntletLights.com for your quote. Tell them you heard it right here on Musso at the Box. LSU's offense, they were awesome. I mean, y'all, there were a couple things that I do want to touch on because they set the lineup differently, and it was telling and it worked. But I mean, y'all, in the first 4 pitches of the game, LSU was up 2-0. I mean, Derek Curiel set the tone, just laces the single up the middle on the first pitch that he sees that Ligon throws. And then Jared Jones, 3 pitches later, launches one off the batter's eye, and you're up 2-0 4 pitches into this thing. Like, that just set the tone of that ball game. And the thing, too, none of them were cheap. Like, they were all smashed. In all, 8 runs, 8 hits. There was an error. LSU did not leave anybody on base. You sent, you had 11 official at-bats, but you sent a 12th batter to the plate with Danny Dickinson. Of course, she had the run down and then, chase the run home and whatnot. But they were awesome. I mean, I'm not really going to go too much deeper into the offense, like, inning wise from the game. LSU banged out 17 runs on 19 hits. The 19 hits are a season high. You took advantage of some Mississippi State miscues. You were awesome. I mean, that first inning is LSU's best offensive inning of the year, in my opinion. The fact that you had 8 runs on 8 hits, you didn't leave anybody on base. You got everybody home that you could, minus Jones getting picked off. But him doing that forced another run home. That was awesome. It set the tone. You never really looked back. I mean, you go through it, and here, we'll count this up right here for y'all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different Tigers had multi-hit games. It was great to see Chris Stanfield, the last 2 games of this series, really kind of come into his own. He had 4 hits in the last 2 games. Jared Jones, who was 0 for the weekend with the 3-hit day, including his first homer in conference play. That was awesome to see. But I'll tell you what was most intriguing to me on Sunday. You had a righty on the mound, and you saw Ethan Fry in the lineup, and you saw Tanner Reeves in the lineup. And you even got Michael Braswell in later. But Reeves against the righty makes some sense. Fry against the righty was telling, and he responded. 2 knocks, 2 RBI. He came around to score as well. That first single he had in the bottom half of the first inning was a rocket up the middle. He was awesome. And that just expands his role and opens the door for more options to have Ethan Fry in the game. You've started to see them let him face righties a little bit more, and y'all, he's responded. And if Ethan Fry can kind of take hold of that DH role, not saying you're only going to see him, you're going to keep seeing Josh Pearson, but if he can really take hold of that and kind of become your primary, that can take this lineup to a whole new level, because he's got power and he's got pretty good plate discipline as well. And Ethan Fry, for a power hitting guy, he uses 2/3 of the field. Like he really uses the middle of the field well as obviously to the pull side, but he's working on the all fields. But I've been very, 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 very impressed with what I've seen from Ethan Fry here in this season now that he's finally healthy. I mean, he is hitting 377, and the at-bat count just keeps going up. And if he continues to produce like that against a righty, you're only going to see him in the lineup more and more and more and more. That's real development, watching him have that success against the right-handed hitters. All right, some overall thoughts on the weekend. Let's start with, you won 3 games 3 different ways. You had the comeback victory, obviously, in game number 1. You had to grind it out 2-1, where you hit 2 solo homers, and Iansson and Evans were awesome, and they made it stand up. That's 2 weeks in a row LSU's been able to win a game against an ace pitcher using 2 arms. That's awesome. And then you win the slugfest there in game number 3. I love weekends like that, where you win all 3 games and you do it in different ways. That is absolutely massive. Now, diving a little bit deeper into that, I want to talk about LSU's pitching staff, because I really believe this, that you did get some answers in the bullpen. We had talked plenty on the preview about how we thought LSU would shorten the game. Get to Cowan, get to Evans as quickly as possible. I tweeted out their stats from the weekend as a whole. Let me go pull them up so I have it, exactly correct. And LSU did a great job. Now, a lot of that also is a hat tip to the offense, because you were able to have a lead when it came to the 6th inning and just turn it over to them and say, go. Their ability to extend is huge. And if you don't have them in the back end of your bullpen, you don't win those games the way that you did. That's why it's massive to keep them in that role right now. And I know it's intriguing to be like, oh, well, but they can give you so much more at the start of the game. Not necessarily. Look what Zach Cowan gave you to close out that game. You had a rough start from your ace. You were behind. You got ahead. You gave him the ball, and he went and locked it down for you. That's massive. He can give it to you in multiple different ways. And right now, that way is at the back end of the pen. Same thing with Case and Evans. Those two guys, 8 innings, 3 hits, 0 runs, walked 3, struck out 13, and both recorded a save. 2 saves. That is a formula going forward for LSU. Now, as we talked about after Saturday's game, after Friday's game, and I think a little bit after Thursday's game, it's not sustainable. You still need others to emerge and develop and get better. And I think you saw signs of that this weekend. Here's what I mean. You have Evans, you have Cowan at the back end. You feel great about that. Would you love to have Gavin Guidry right now? Sure. You don't. Oh, well. Oh, well. So you have Cowan and Evans at the back end of your pen who both can extend. And if you shorten the game and get it to them well enough, you feel great. You just have that little bridge. I loved what I saw to Jaden Newt, as we discussed earlier. If you hit on him, we've talked all year. All year. You go back and listen to just about any episode about pitching, and I will have mentioned this, that Jaden Newt could be an absolute X factor for this team. That was a great weekend debut for him, and I expect to see more of him when they go to Oklahoma. You hit on him, he gives you another weapon out of the bullpen. And then I'm going to turn my eyes to William Schmidt, who I would imagine is going to get the ball on Tuesday to start against Louisiana Tech. And if you can bring him along a little bit in the midweek and he can get his confidence back, really go out there and trust his stuff, you can put him back on the weekend and he can excel. He can actually produce for you there. That can give you 4. And then I look at Connor Ware and y'all, what he did on Saturday night, while it wasn't flawless, it wasn't, the most easy thing to watch. It wasn't stress-free. It was good enough. And if that guy can give you that, where he can go through the meat of somebody's order and get a 0, you actually start to put things together. So you might not have a bunch of answers from the bullpen right now, but you can definitely see a path. Like, I come away encouraged by certain guys. Now, as I said, Connor Ben, DJ Primo, those guys, they have to be better. There is no 2 ways around that. They have to be better. But you're going to keep running them out there. You're going to keep giving them mound time because that's how you get better. But you like what you have in Casey Evans and Zach Cowan right now at the back end. I think Jaden Newt, that's a big step forward for him. I like what I saw from Chase Shores. If he can, the face and everything heals up quickly, he can build on that. And if you can get that kind of outing from Connor Ware, where he's putting up 0s for you, that gives you a left-handed option, which you so desperately need on this team. And it gives you a few more guys you can count on. And that's how you end up getting Evans and Cowan multiple outings in a weekend where they can impact more than one game. And then it's not even a conversation of where they need to be. Because a guy like Ware could steal you an inning and take a little bit of the load off of them. A guy like Newt can steal you an inning or 2 and take a little bit off of them. And that would be huge. And then it becomes more sustainable for LSU. So those are the 3 that I would really, really watch going forward, are Newt, Schmidt, Ware. And then when you see Benj and Primo out there, they need to continue to improve as well. But if you could get Newt and Ware specifically, that gives you 4. And then William Schmidt comes along towards the back half of this season. You have him rare and ready to go for the postseason. You're going to be in pretty good shape. You're going to like where you are heading into it. We can't leave this episode without talking about Anthony Iansson. And I talked about him plenty after the game Saturday morning. After the game Friday on Saturday morning. And the guts that he showed was awesome. I mean, y'all, you have the leadoff double in the 3rd. He pitches around that. Like, there were so many moments where it could have gone off the rails for him, and it just never did. The fastball was crisp and hard. He was up to 96 a couple of different times, and the slider was absolutely filthy. And a hat tip Nate Yeske, he called a great game for Anthony Iansson. Later in that game, especially that fourth inning, man, when you really needed outs, you needed strikeouts, he started flipping that breaking ball, the curve ball in more, and was landing it. And I hadn't really seen that from him the first couple of trips through the lineup. He got you through the lineup more than twice, and he pitched himself out of some big jams. That's what we talk about. He can get stronger as the game goes on. Would you like a little bit more efficiency? Sure. That's the next thing you can work on. But, man, he was allowed to work himself out of trouble in that ball game, and, damn it, he did it. And he did it by mixing pitches great. He really had Mississippi State off balance, and that was awesome to see. The only run that scored against them was a passed ball. It was unearned. Didn't allow an earned run. Got you through the lineup multiple times, went 5 innings, punched out 12, and pitched around any trouble that he had. Like, what was more impressive? The third or the fourth inning? Third innings where you have that leadoff double. So you have a leadoff runner on with nobody out. But again, same deal in the fourth, where he loads the bases with nobody out. After, well, you had the the pass ball's in the Stallman at bat. So yeah, he loads the bases with nobody out. You have the pass ball, that's unfortunate. But after that, strikeout, strikeout, strikeout. Side. In just a huge, huge moment. And then is able to come back out in the fifth and pitch around a couple more singles. I loved it. He was awesome. He even got you into the sixth. They let him come out and face Hines, and he was just out of gas. But that is so big for him to build off of. Cade Anderson will be fine. He will bounce back. But what you saw from Iansson, what you saw from Shores, those were two massive steps that both guys can build off of going forward. So while you can look at the total number of free passes LSU gave up this weekend, and it's not great, you can look at the fact they gave up the 8 runs in game 3, and that's not great. I saw a lot of good signs from LSU's pitching staff this weekend against Mississippi State. And you're going to need that because you're going on the road to Oklahoma, and you're going to have to match that pitching staff pitch for pitch. And they've got some really good frontline arms and arguably the best closer in the SEC. He's leading the league in saves. So you're going to need a big performance out of your staff on the road. That was a great weekend to have it to lead in. Let's see. Was there anything else I wanted to hit on offensively? Luis Hernandez, quietly, really, really, really good weekend. 4 hits, 2 of them left the yard. Made some hard contact in between. Quietly, really nice weekend for him at the plate. I continue to be impressed with him. Again, you'd like the defense to shore up a little bit more, but he continues to be your best option at catcher. So I really enjoyed that. I thought Danny Dickinson had an awesome weekend as well. I mean, obviously the big homer on Thursday, but he followed that up with a 3-hit night, game number 3. So loved him behind Bear Jones, having that outing that he did. Derek Curiel continues to reach base in every game. And again, ultimately, you want them all. Like, you want all 3. LSU is on a 4-game winning streak now. They are 26-3 and 7-2 in the SEC. That's a great spot to be heading into week number 4. So hat tip to them. And again, I did see some encouraging things on the mound going forward. I thought that was a really, really good weekend for the Tigers. They're back on the field Tuesday night against La Tech. Hopefully the weather's great. And you know what? Hopefully the weather's great in Norman, because if I ever have to sit through another weekend like that again, I'm going to be really pissed. That was pretty unacceptable how that was handled and how the schedules were just bungled, quite honestly, from LSU. And I don't really care what anybody says. I don't really want to hear an explanation from anybody, from Jay Johnson, from Chris Lamonis, from Bill Franquez, from anybody, like from the guy, who takes care of the box and holds the tablet when they have their meetings. I don't really care. You had multiple opportunities to play those games in dry windows, and you didn't do it. And it was ridiculous. It just was. It was bungled, and it was ridiculous. And I hope that never happens again, because it's preventable. And LSU, Mississippi State, the SEC is far above that in quality, and you can get those games played in a timely fashion and go through it. I think the biggest indictment on what happened Friday is the fact that the softball team and there was a track and field event all going on while you were delayed. So it's not like it was an 8-mile radius lightning deal. That's why I said I don't want to hear an explanation because I just don't care. But that needs to be corrected and fixed because that should not happen at this level of baseball ever. Everyone involved is better than that. Y'all smash the like button, get subscribed up to the YouTube channel and on your favorite podcast app if you have not already. Follow on social media. Gave those handles out earlier. And of course, I'll be here next time for more on Moose at the Box, presented by Got Lit Light Installers.